Morning, guys. As you saw, Shannon took off on Friday morning. It is Monday. She got to New Hampshire to her start her contract in New Hampshire for 13 weeks, and she got there on Saturday afternoon, so everything worked out good that way. So I'm back up here after working over the weekend. Gonna try to finish up some of this. Well, I'm going to try to put this, the rest of this corner down. That's the only thing. And then there's some spots around where, like that one sticking off, and just want to cut up the sides and make them nice and smooth. It looks like we're going to get some rain tonight, so behind me is our big tarp that we're going to put over for the winter, and I'll probably at least set that down for the night for this chance of rain. And then it's not supposed to rain for foreseeable future right now, which is about 10 days out. So hopefully that'll be, I'll uncover it, let it dry out a little bit more, and finish up. But the first thing I want to get to is screws. But we were going so quick that we ended up just putting a few screws in the last few sheets, just to keep going and get as many sheets down before it was dark. As you remember on the last video, we were really up against it with her leaving the next morning, and needed to get as many of this done as we could on the flooring. So that's what I'll first do, is look for some screws to put down the rest of this OSB that's on here right now, and then I'll patch in the rest of this. Some of it I got to take down to my, we don't have electricity up here yet. We're on the list to get it any day now, so and then we'll have power up here. But I'll just bring it down to my table saw and saw those little, like that little skinny piece right here. We got a couple of those that have to be fit in right along that rest of that wall there, so I'll do that. But all right, I'm gonna get after it. So I just want to point out this OSB has these little black dots, and when you know you're 16 on center, which is right there, I know there's because I got a screw here and a screw here, so I know there's a joist running right across this black line here. So you just put a screw in every black little dot there, and you know you're hitting your joist. So just wanted to point that out, that they make it pretty easy for you nowadays to line everything up. All right, guys, I caught up with all the screws, went through every sheet here and made sure it's properly, you put every 6 inches around the field, they call it, or not around the field, on the seams, and then every 12 inches in the field. So, and that's if you want to go by code and stuff, but this thing ain't going nowhere, and it feels really strong just walking on it. I mean, there's no bounce or nothing. This feels really good, so pretty happy with it. All right, screwing is caught up. Just put this sheet down, but I didn't glue it, and only putting a few nails around, because that sheet's got to come up, because I'm going to frame in our crawl space somewhere in here. We have like a pantry. The doorway is going to be somewhere around here. You walk in, and there's going to be a pantry along this area, like a closet type thing, and that's where we're going to hide that crawl space so we can get down under there. The water and electric are going to be at this corner. They're coming up this way from down there. I don't know if you can see that. See that red stake right there, is where I got conduit under the ground right now for electric. So I still have to trench this much more, but the panel will be somewhere in here. The water is, if you look closely, you can see a blue PEX down there in the corner. That's where my water is right now, so I got to trench that up. And I stuck 2 pieces of conduit under here before we did the foundation last year, and both of those will slip through the wire and the 1-inch PEX line coming into the house. So both those are going to be at this corner, so it's good to have an access. This is also the tallest part of our basement, or crawl space. I keep calling it a basement. Typical Northeast, where everybody has basements, but anyways, so I'll be able to take that sheet off, and whatever sheet I end up putting here, I'm also going to do the same. So right now I'm going to measure, let's see, I got this one to put in still, and this one's just a plank set down there, so this little space here. So I'm going to do that now, but what I'll have to do is take these pieces down to the table saw and cut them down there, and it'll make a nice fit. Alright guys, they're calling for 30% chance of rain tonight, a little more on Thanksgiving, so I thought I'd break out our 50 by 30 foot tarp that we got. So, and that is got this gray paint on it that's supposed to be UV deflective or something, and it is waterproof. So the whole thing fits just perfect over this end. It'll fit like we're 48 feet, this is 50, so, and then it hangs over, drapes over the both sides, so I can put some rocks on, or we got a ton of cinder blocks over here and I'll put that on there. But I am not gonna permanently put it down now. I will eventually here, because we probably won't frame, we've decided, until next year. But I will be working in here. I want to bring water up, a couple others. I got to frame out the little crawl space door and stuff, but I have to get to work, and I just wanted to protect it and kind of experiment tonight and see how it does if it does rain overnight. So I'm going to clear the rest of my stuff out of here. All right, guys, that worked. It's the next day, and we had rain overnight. Of course, there's puddles, but the floor looks dry. I looked under there, so I actually brought a broom up and gonna sweep that off right now. And I got a couple more patches to make in that crawl space entrance. I'm gonna work on that right now. All right, guys, I'm down to basically the last piece. These aren't screwed down yet, but I got to make that cutout for the crawl space. So what I'm going to do is, I had to go down and actually look at the plans down at the RV, and for the pantry that's going to be in this corner, that's where we put our crawl space in Wyoming. It worked good. It's basically going to be a glorified closet, so that's a good place to hide a crawl space trap door. You don't want it obviously in the middle of a living room or something like that. So our pantry's coming off 3 feet this way, and then the front door will be right after that, so right in here somewhere. So I got 3 feet this way, and then I got 4 feet going that way. So what I'm gonna do is cut out this joist right here. I'm gonna put this in, glue it down right now, and start the crawl space after that. So the crawl space will basically go right here, and it'll just, what it'll do is make it roughly almost about 2 foot by 2 foot, and just enough to squeeze down there. We'll have like a small step stool or a ladder of some sort, and that way to jump down in there when any problems with plumbing and electrical will come in this way. As you remember from previous video, I did hide it under, I got it marked with a flag. I got 2 pipes going under the footings even, and so I just got to dig it up on the inside here, and I can push water pipe through, and electrical line. So that's going to be 90% of our thing, is getting just down in there. If something leaks or the electric, I think the panel's actually going to be probably up on the wall up here in the pantry, just like Wyoming also. So that's what I'm going to work on next, cutting that out. So first I'll put this piece down, cut this little tab off here to make it even with the joist here, the rim joist, and then I'll work on this trap door. I'll lift these pieces up, frame it out, and I'll show you a little of that. All right, guys, I made my marks on this board that I got to cut out like a trap door. So there's a red line right there, right there, and right there. So I'm gonna cut that out, put a couple of finger holes in it for now, and that'll be the trap door. And once I bring that up, then I'll have to figure out framing it, because I'll have to cut, there's a joist in here that will come out, so to make it so that it's just comfortable to get down in there if you have to get down in there. So that's what I'm doing now. All right, guys, there you have it. Little trap door. What I got to do is cut out that joist right there and then put some framing, just how these joists are sticking out halfway. I got to do that along there and then along that side, and that'll frame it. That way I can cut that out, and then we'll have our little way to get down to the crawl space. So that square right there, these aren't put in yet because none of this is glued until I can get that done. And being the day before Thanksgiving, the hardware stores closed already. They closed early, and I have no 2x10s left to frame that. So that's how short of scraps we were with this floor. So I'll just have to wait. I'm just going to cover this up. This piece is going to move to here, since the front door will be in this area. I want a nice large piece. I don't want a little square tucked in there. And then that piece, which is sitting right there, will move over to there. Or I think I might even have another piece down below that I can cut one length, so we just cut out that seam there and not have a little janky little piece. That's probably what I'll end up doing. But they're expecting rain again tonight, so I'm gonna pull this tarp over and get that situated. So I need to make the floor all flat, because any divots will just fill up with water. Like if I left that open right there, the tarp will just sink down and just have a pool of water in there. So I want it all flat tonight for this rain that's coming in. But everything else looks good. That's the only thing I didn't finish. Oh, and I got to go down, and because after the rain tonight, a cold front is moving in, and I have to make sure my hose for my water is winterized. I put a pipe insulation over it and then heat tape around it, and I got a couple other insulating things to do the rest of the afternoon, so that'll take me a couple hours. That's what I'm going to do now. So, oh, and the Fiat, I found it somewhat difficult to get it up this last hill up here, because I can't really gain speed because there's too many curves down there. And so I can back it up that far, which isn't too bad. It's down a little hill, but because things got these slick low profile tires, it just does not grab in this stone when it's going slow to try to get up here. So that's why that's way down there. All right, guys, so I think I've showed you this before in the videos, but we have a gray water tank and a black water tank on an RV. Gray is for dishwater, anything running down the sink drain, anything in the shower, and that's okay to let it out in your field, which we were doing all the time. But what happens is anytime I have a truck or somebody coming down here with a skid steer, they either go around and rut up the grass, or I have to take this all apart and push it over. So I think what I'm going to do is, I got it going towards here, and there's a ditch that goes along our road all the way, and I'm just putting it into there instead. And if you're curious about our black water tank, which is toilet, that we have a composting toilet, so we take care of that, totally separate. It does not go out here. We do have a ditch dug that we bury everything in, and it composts anyways. We use cedar chips and that sort of thing, but it's perfectly fine toilet in the bathroom that we use when we're here until we get our septic set up at the house. So that's what I'm moving that over, and that'll help get along this garage driveway more. Dogs love a cool day and being out in the sun, so letting them hang here, and then I'll insulate this hose and I'll show you that next. Okay, I got the gray tank going out, and I added that piece of conduit that I've been using. Our one end that goes in a sewer usually fits perfectly in there, and that drains. I got it at a little bit of a pitch, and it goes into this you can't even see it, it's so overgrown back there, but there is a ditch back there that follows along the road here, so that'll do that. Now I'm onto the heat tape, and this blue wire they call heat tape, and what it does is I tape it along here along the hose, our water hose, and I'll do it all the way there. It'll give me enough to go wrap around our hydrant there, and then we take pipe insulation, and that's just like almost like a pool noodle, just a smaller one, and it's slid on one side so you can fit it over your hose, and then I just tape that up, and that's more than enough for winter around here. I got it going just into the underside of the bus where it hooks into our spigot, and gives us water and stuff. So, and then when I need that, this insulation will go good for like 32 degrees, 28 degrees at night, and then it usually gets above freezing. It usually never stays below freezing all day long, so once in a great while. But on the colder nights, anything below like 30 degrees, I'll plug in this heat tape, and all that does is come with just a plug-in end here. I just keep it under here so it stays out of the rain, and then I got an extension cord that comes out from the barn and over to here and plugs that in. And if I see the night's gonna be cold, I'll plug that in. And that just gives us extra protection, keeps it nice and warm. So all right, now we got an insulated hose with heat tape ready for the winter, and I got it all over to the hydrant, and even wrapped it around down to the into the ground of the hydrant, so that'll keep that warm. I may even, last year we had such a cold spell for a couple of days in January that I had insulation around there and then a tarp over this whole thing, and just kept that all winter like that and never had a problem. So if it gets that cold, I may do that again. So, but everything's out of the way now. People can get right up the driveway on the road, stay on the road instead of the grass, and get up to the house. Hey guys, guess what? AUB, the electric service here, just called after I finished filming that last bit of insulating the hose, and Friday they are going to come in and pull this wire through, so I'm pretty excited about that. So that, I'm going to start off with a new video, so that'll be on the next video, and we'll see them pulling our electric through 700 feet of 3-inch conduit that we had buried, going on 2 years ago now. So that'll go in tomorrow, or Friday. Friday morning they said they'll be here. So I'm gonna sign off, and give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you on the next one. It should get exciting because hopefully electric will be up at the house.